I think he might be called Frank. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel.
Now on a serious note, I will be editing the audio on this video because according to this comment, I have a very effeminate voice. And that offends people. People aren't allowed to have feminine voices. My voice doesn't match my gender, so the audio is getting changed just to please this one asshole.
No, I'm just kidding, I couldn't give a shit about what they think. So today I thought I would make some little models. Well, kinda like little models. I haven't really planned what I'm making yet, but I'm going to be using something with this. It's called Milliput, and it's basically like an epoxy putty. Kind of think of it as a clay, and like you mold it and you play with it.
Boop it.
And then you make stuff with it.
Twist it.
And then it hardens and becomes, well, whatever you want it to become, really. So I think I'm going to play around with this a little bit and see what I can make some little figurines or something. According to the box, some uses of Milliput include model making, sculpting, boat repairs, car body repairs, temporary repairs for car petrol tanks, batteries, radiators and exhausts, DIY, plumbing and household repairs. I find that temporary repairs for car petrol tanks, it's a bit of a strange one to include on the box. People must really want to repair their petrol tanks, I suppose. And once this stuff has been cured, it can be machined, drilled, tapped,
Honk it.
turned, filed,
Squish it.
sawn, sandpapered and painted. And I am planning on papering them. Painting them. Well, it's just the start of the video. I can't start now. I need to get these words out. Papering them. Where did that come from? Painting them. Papering them. I didn't even read the word I read sandpaper. That's where it came from. Anyway, let's open this up and make some stuff with it before I lose my mind. Okay, so this Milliput stuff just comes in little boxes like this. I just bought the standard stuff, but I think you can buy it in like loads of different colours and all that kind of nonsense. But I'm going to be painted anyway, so it doesn't really matter about the colour of it. And I think a box of this only cost me about £3 or £3 something, so it's not an expensive material to buy. Okay, so it comes in two parts. Similar to kind of like when you make an epoxy resin, you would mix a resin in with a hardener, so like a catalyst. It's a similar situation with this. You get a resin putty, which I don't know which one's which, and you get a hardener. So you would have to mix equal part of one with another, but I'm going to be mixing them both together anyway, so it doesn't matter. So let's have a little look. Okay, so we have like a brownish looking one, and it's very squidgy and flexible. You can kind of like move it around. Okay, and this one's a grey one. So that's kind of the texture of them. That's what they look like. Kind of a strange looking poo shape. Right, so mix all this together. I'm not sure what the work time is with stuff like this. I think you've got a while. Actually, let me just check before I start mixing these together. Okay, so apparently Milliput becomes rock hard in 3 to 4 hours. So speed is of the essence, I suppose. And also apparently, if you want this stuff to cure faster, once you've obviously got your little sculpture done, you can put it in the oven or use a hairdryer. Because if you're familiar with resin, resin often uses heat as kind of a catalyst to harden the resin. But it'll also just harden in room temperature too. Right, so we'll have to be quite quick. I'll probably half this then, just in case. Chop it about there. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll just mix the whole thing. Because otherwise I'm going to be making it super small, and I'm not great with small things. Right, so you want to mix this all together. In fact, I'm going to take my ring off, because I'm going to ruin this ring. And the consistency of it, it's like a very, very sticky clay. Right, so my idea for my first one is to make like a little toadstool sculpture. So we'll see how we get on with that. So we'll use this as the head part. And I'm just going to be hand doing it. I'm not going to be using kind of any tools or anything. So it might look quite rustic. I have seen people use this before, but I've never actually used it myself. It's very, very like soft. It's not as rigid as I was expecting, but that's alright. So I think that'll make like the cap of the toadstool, but I need a stalk. What happens if I make the stalk like a nice fat stalk, like kind of short and stumpy, but then it'll go big at the bottom and then narrow at the top. And if you're thinking about dirty things while I'm making this, you need to get your mind out the gutter. I'm not thinking of that at all. I think that'll be cute. And then if we just... Does that look like a toadstool? I don't even know what a toadstool looks like. It just looks like a mushroom. I feel like that might be a bit too long. You know what? I'm going to chop a bit of that off and I'm going to add it to that one. I'm going to remake that. I don't like it. I think this stuff would be really fun if, you know, is it called Warhammer? Then people who play with, like, figurines. I think it'd be quite good for that. To be fair, I assume people who, like, play with Warhammer and stuff already use something like this to make their figurines. Or fix them or whatever. As you can tell, I don't really know what Warhammer is. But it'll be good for things like that. Kind of want to make it go, yeah, do it around the finger. Oh, yeah. The thing is, toadstools aren't like super perfect, are they? I wonder what the difference between a toadstool and a mushroom is. Because obviously a toadstool's red and it's got dots on it. I feel like a toadstool's like a made-up thing. Place that on top like that. It's very, very, like, floppy. The material's very, I don't know, it's very soft and it's not as rigid as I was expecting. That makes it slightly difficult to work with. Well, for what I'm doing, it does. How does that look? Oh, let me just get on the floor. Oh, actually, that looks kind of cool. Oh, you know what? That looks really good. I'm just down here fixing things up a bit. You might not be able to see it. Oh, you can see it. Hello. You know what? I kind of love that. Because I wasn't planning on adding any details with the milliput. I'm going to paint that on later. So I think I've got a good base. Now, how do I get it off my table? I could do with a bit of string or something. Because people with clay do that, don't they? I found some fishing wire. Perfect. So if I just use my wire, and then I can take that off there. Perfect. Great. Okay, I'm kind of happy with that. I think that looks super cute. It'll look great once it's painted, I swear. So I'll put this to one side and we'll make something else. It comes off your table very easy as well. Just make sure it doesn't set, otherwise you're going to have trouble getting it off. Oh no. Oh, I've just read the back of this. I think I've made a mistake. It says mix equal quantities of the two sticks by rolling and kneading for at least 5 minutes until the colour is uniform and streak free. My toadstool wasn't streak free at all. It was streaks all over the place. Right, so the mushroom I've made might potentially not work because I've made it... Well, because I just haven't followed instructions again, have I? Because I'm an absolute ass. Well, we'll see if that works and see if it's super strict with how well you're supposed to mix it, but I definitely didn't mix that very well. I didn't even think of that either. It's right, it's literally right on the back under instructions. Never mind. Well, what do I want to make next? I was kind of thinking about creating like a monster because I've been watching season 4 of Stranger Things. If you've never watched Stranger Things, by the way, it's amazing. Season 4, the episodes are so long. They're like over an hour long. And I'm up to the final episode of season 4. And it's like, I think it's like 2.5 hours long. It's such a long episode. I was going to watch it last night and I clicked on it and saw how long it was. I don't have time for that. That's going to run into my bedtime. I've got to get some sleep. But I'm very excited for the finale. I'll watch it at some point. But anyway, I was thinking about making like Vecna, if you don't know who Vecna is. He's like this monster thing. But then that sounds really complicated and far too hard for me. So I'm thinking I might create like some sort of monster, but it's not going to be like that at all. I just thought I would mention how much I'm enjoying Stranger Things. So we'll see how this goes. I'll try and mix, well, I won't try, I will mix the putty a lot better this time. The thing is, I read every single bit of this box, apart from that side. I read that bit, and that bit, but just missed that bit. It's quite hard to mix though, so that's all one uniform colour. That's where it differentiates from clay. When you get like a bit of clay there, usually you can just kind of like dab it and it'll come off onto this. This one doesn't, just likes to stick to your table. I'm sweating. I'm having a proper workout. Just have a bit of a hand workout. Not that I need a hand workout. Do plenty of that, if you know what I mean. I'm joking, I don't. Right, I think that's pretty well mixed. I don't think there's any streaks in there. Okay, so let's create a monster. Right, so we need to start with a body. Weirdly enough, because I've mixed it properly this time, it's not as kind of floppy as it was before. So I think I have made a mistake with that toadstool. I don't really know what I'm going for. I'm just making it up. Sometimes it's fun to make things up, and other times it's difficult because you literally have no direction and you have no idea where to go with it. But I used to, in my art practice, have materials, and I would just buy a bunch of different random materials and let the materials talk to us and tell us what they want to do. I know that sounds very kind of conceptual and arty, but it's true. And sometimes it worked out and other times it just really didn't work out at all. So I'll have that as a body, I think. It's a monster, so it doesn't really need to look like a person. We'll have this as a head. What happens if the head was kind of like bent off like that? A little water as well helps kind of like smooth the cracks over. That's why I'm licking my fingers. You should obviously use like a pot of water, but I don't have a pot of water with us. So I'm just going to use my spit. Yeah, it's coming along now. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something fun. I don't think I'm going to go for scary. I think I'm going to go for like, I don't know, maybe he's quirky. Quirky and, I don't know, a little bit mysterious. You can't really see it on here because it's tiny. I might actually get a little dish of water because I think it's going to help. There, that makes more sense instead of eating it. Right, and then what happens if we have like tentacles somewhere? Go around here, kind of like that. Oh, it's gonna look fun. Yes. Oh, I'm excited. I don't know how I'm gonna get this off the table. In fact, I don't think I'm gonna be able to. I think it's just gonna have to stay here. Oh, but I've got another video to record today. It's gonna have to move. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Right, and then we'll have another tentacle kind of lapping around there, and then that one can go down like that. I think if you're going to do this, a little water really helps, because it can be a bit like dry and crumbly, especially when you're stretching it out and stuff. We'll go one around there, and that one can go up and into there. I don't think you can fully see or appreciate the detail on camera either, but it's very detailed. Where shall the next tentacle go? We'll put one around here, like that, and bring it up to here to match the other side. Right, I think that's all the tentacles I want, because otherwise it's going to get too complicated. I'll try and make a face, so I obviously want eyes. I'll do big eyes, why not? I'll stick an eye there, and I'll stick an eye here. Actually, you know what it's given us? It's kind of feeling like a bug. Kind of like a praying mantis or like a grasshopper. Obviously a very strange looking one. One that hasn't been discovered yet. You know what? I'm going to lean in to the bug feel, and I'm going to give it kind of a, not like a nose, but a, one of them like dangly things. An antenna or something. Kind of like that. Oh, I love that. Now, I just want 2 more little dots for the eyes. See, this wasn't in my mind at all. It just kind of developed into this. I kind of like it how it is. Obviously, once it's painted, it'll really come to life. Now, how am I going to get you off the table? I'll try the fishing wire trick again. Just try and move it onto this box. You're free. Right, I've got my toadstool back because I don't want to leave this and for it not to set, and I know it's not going to. So I'm going to remake this with the Milliput that I've already got, just so I'm not wasting any. I know I spent ages doing it, but it's just one of those things. Because I know it's not going to set, I know for a fact it's not going to set, and I'll be very disappointed. I'll just redo it again. I think that's actually an improvement from the last one, so I'm glad I remade it. Okay, I shouldn't have any issues with that. That's fully the same colour. It should definitely set, so I'll put that to one side. Okay, so I think I'll just stick with the 2 models for today. I think I've done a good job. They're both very different, but I think they also live kind of in the same universe. But I'll wait for them to fully set, and then we can start painting them, and hopefully they're just going to look so good. So the next day, they were looking a little bit like this, and they were completely set. They were absolutely rock hard. And then I just decided to spray paint them white, just to give it a good base coat, before I started adding some extra detail and some different colours onto them. And I think we'll finish off the toadstool first. So let's get some painting done, see if I can make this a little bit more exciting. Okay, so here's my cute little toadstool. It's still very wet, and it's a little bit rough around the edges, but I still think it's really nice. Like, look how cute that is. It's adorable. I might go in and cover some bits up because it is a little bit patchy, but other than that, I think I've done a pretty good job. I'm quite pleased with it. Look at it. I could just eat it up. Nom 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 nom. So stupid. But let's get my little alien painted, and this is going to be way harder to paint. You're just so intricate. This is going to be bad. Okay, so there's my little insect, monster, alien kind of thing. And I quite like him. I don't know what he's called, but I think he's quite cool. Again, I think I need to go over it with a little bit of extra paint just to cover in some of the gaps. And maybe add some more detail. He's just very green, isn't he? But I kind of like what I made. How fun is that? Aww. Feel free to leave any name suggestions down in the comments below. I think he might be called Frank. He looks like a Frank, doesn't he? Definitely got a Frank vibe about him. But that just about does it for today's video of using Milliput. And there are loads of different brands of epoxy putty. I don't think Milliput's the only one. I don't have Milliput with us. I'll have to Photoshop it in. But let me know your ideas and what you would make with Milliput or epoxy putty. But I think I've done an alright little job today. I'm quite pleased. If you enjoyed it just as much as I did, then make sure to give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you next week for a brand new video.